All right, you guys are tuned in to the GM podcast. I am your host, Manuel, and my co-host here, Gabby, once again. Say what's up, Gabby, and let them know what we'll be talking about today.
Hey, what's up, everybody? We're on the road. We're actually headed to Calexico. It's to the border, the TJ border. We're picking up a vehicle for a client. So we have a long road ahead of us. Today, we would like to discuss the topic, when is it okay to not listen to family? This is a touchy one because family will listen to this and think, oh, is that right? Or they automatically think that their word doesn't count or that or it doesn't matter. But that's not true. And I think if we're blessed to have family who is emotionally intelligent, then they will understand this, and they will understand that it has nothing personal to do with them. And I like to quote E.T., Eric Thomas. I listened to one of his motivational speaks, and he talks about how his mom was once against him quitting his job. He told his mom, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to be a speaker. And his mom was like, no, you can't do that. Automatically the mom is scared for her son, which is a natural reaction most parents have towards their kids. We want the best for them, so therefore we don't want to see them to fail, right? You would agree, partner? We don't want to see our kids fail. So the mom had told Eric Thomas that it wasn't a good idea, that he quits his job and does his own thing, that it just doesn't make any sense. And he said, Mom, I want to make $1 million. And so long story short, the point was, Eric Thomas said, how am I going to listen to my mom when I wanted to make $1 million? My mom never made $1 million. So how is it that I'm going to listen to her? And he's like, no disrespect to my mom, but she can't teach me how to make $1 million because she's never been there. So that's what I'm talking about. I think this topic is about exactly that. Our family, and that includes, our parents, that includes our brothers and sisters, and sometimes, sadly enough, because I've been there, has to also do with your spouse. And sometimes they will, put it this way, I think a lot of times they will give you the advice that benefits them or that they can relate to. So when your parent says, don't do it, it's because of fear for you. Or when a brother and sister sometimes tells you, oh, that's not a good idea, maybe it's about jealousy. We don't know what goes on in their hearts or in their minds, but also too, if they've never really accomplished anything as far as, business, success, $1 million or more, then how can they really teach you what you should or shouldn't do? Does that make sense, partner?
Yeah, it does. And you actually took some of the words out of my mouth, because I was actually going to fill that void also with Eric Thomas's quote of him actually telling his mom that, I'm not going to listen to you because you've never made $1 million. There's people out there that have. And those are the people that we need to start listening to. What you're after are the things that you should take in consideration, like when people are trying to tell you, or steps on how to get there. Unfortunately, in a lot of people's situations, there's been people that are kept behind, people that are held back from certain people or certain family members telling them not to go that extra step, not to take the plunge, not to do the things that, it's good to listen to some things when people have fallen and you see what led them to that failure. But if you can recognize that on your own, make decisions on your own, and also take that in consideration, what other things that they've succeeded on. And in this situation, I've listened to my dad enough for me to start doing the things that I needed to do and to be where I'm at now. Without certain things and my dad's help, I wouldn't be where I'm at. But at the same time, he's not going to tell me how to run my business. He's not going to tell me what I need to do in order for me to make these executive decisions. So, but the point is that, yeah, there are certain things that we should listen to, but there's a lot of things that are left in the gray, and we should take that a lot in consideration. Also, dipping into what I want to do next, explaining to certain people what it takes for me to get there, what do I got to do. A lot of people they'll probably shit on me and tell me, no, don't go that route. But I mean, if I don't take these plunges, if I don't take these certain steps, then I'm never gonna get to where I want to be.
Well, you'll never know.
Or I'll never know, exactly. So I'll go to my deathbed wishing what the hell would have been if I've never, you know what I mean? If I've never done what I was supposed to do. So yeah, in this situation, like we said before, there's certain things that family can put their 50 cents in, but for the most part, if they haven't done it, if they haven't accomplished certain things, then it's best not to listen to them.
Right, and it has nothing to do with trying to say that we're better than our parents or better than our siblings, but we have to follow our heart. We have to, we don't go to a butcher to get medical advice. We get the medical advice from an expert. Or we don't go to a mechanic to get a recipe on how to make a cake. That just doesn't make any sense. So if you're going to open up a business, or if you're trying to make $1 million, who do you go to? And I say this in the most respectful way. You don't go to your mom, who all she did was be a housewife and raise kids. You don't go to her for advice, on financial advice on how to make $1 million. Or you don't go to your dad, and this has nothing to do with education, because I'm not saying because they didn't go to college, like both my parents are high school dropouts, their backgrounds, their upbringing was a little tough, but that has nothing. My parents are very smart and they've accomplished a lot of things in their own right. But there are things that I don't want for myself. We learn from our family. I don't want to be like him. I don't want to be like her. I want more. I deserve more. And the thing we could learn from our family is we could learn from their mistakes. That is gold. Because if we don't learn from our mistakes, especially when it has to do with maybe, relationship mistakes, marital mistakes, financial mistakes, that we could learn from the mistakes that our parents have made, maybe bad investments, bad purchases. We need to learn from that. And I think a parent who is emotionally intelligent will tell you that. Now, I'll tell you one thing. My sons, both of my sons, I try to be so honest, because I consider myself a very humble person. I'll be the first one to say, I don't know everything. I fucked up a lot. I've suffered a lot. And I have no shame saying it. I tell my boys, I will try to show you what I can. Everything, especially my mistakes, I will tell you what I did wrong. I will tell you what I did to correct it. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to make your own decisions, because mom doesn't know everything, and I don't claim to know everything, but I am a lot wiser than who I was when I was a kid. So I think if we make those conscious decisions and say, okay, I'm going to look at my family and learn from their mistakes, or maybe you do have a successful dad, or maybe you do have a very successful mom, or a brother who owns his own law firm, or whatever, you get the picture. Then I guess, pick everybody's brain. Just see where they're at. And like I said, no disrespect on our family members. This has nothing to do with putting them down. We're just saying, when is it okay to not listen to your mom and your dad, or your sisters or your brothers? Sometimes they do not know what's best for you. I remember growing up, because it's so traditional, when I found out I was pregnant with my oldest son, I was 18 at the time. And automatically my mom started, insinuating that I should get married because of the culture, and it was kind of like taboo. I was married. I was having a kid out of wedlock, and so I was kind of pushed into this idea that marriage was the ultimate priority, and it wasn't. And like I said, I'm not shitting on anybody or my family. I love them, and they did and said the best they could to help me. But was that good advice? I probably not. Now that I know best, if my son were to be in the same circumstances, I would say, wait, you have a whole life ahead of you. Let's see what happens. Be a responsible father, and you need to take care of yourself first before you take care of anybody else. Get yourself a great paying job, get yourself a house, be financially independent before you dive into a family environment. Does that make sense, partner? What do you think?
Right. Yeah, and in my situation, I get what you're saying. If I were to do things differently as a kid, because I'm listening to a certain figure in my life, whether they're family or not, let's exclude family. Right. People that are just trying to tell you things that you don't want to hear. Right. Those are the people to avoid, obviously. But in this situation, yeah, you're right. As a kid, you have to embrace certain things because you think they know it all. But all the experiences that they've been through doesn't necessarily mean that they've been through it all. And they're going to tell you what's best for you. Only you know what your best interest is. And if, for instance, as a kid, if I were to give my kids good advice, I would always tell them to be patient. Patience is one of the key things in life. But at the end of the day, you don't want to give them toxic information. You don't want to tell them that, oh, you need to go get revenge. No, it doesn't work that way. Most of the time, with patience comes what actually starts to reveal. It's like an onion. It starts to peel off the skin, and all the truth of the inside starts to come out. So, yeah, in some situations, it's best not to listen. It's best not to listen to family because, of course, they're the closest things that are near you. But if you have good intentions, if you have great outcomes for that person, and for me, I always give people two options. It's not always the one that needs to go that one way. So if I could shed some light to this, I give people two options now, and I let them decide for themselves. And of course, they may not even go with those two options, but at least you're giving them both A and B perspectives on what the outcome can potentially be. So, yeah, I don't consider myself, an expert on these things, but I think I've lived a long life in order for me to determine what's best for my interests, what's best for my kids' interests, and I will always give them two options. So, if we can start letting the people that we love, let them know on what outcomes could be best for the whole scenario, then yeah, I think we're in a winning situation as a family.
It's really funny that as a parent you think you know it all, because even me, there was a time where I thought I was smarter than my kids, because they were younger than me and this and that. And I remember I've always been a good student. In high school, I was a really good math student. I used to love math, but my highest math level was trigonometry. And I remember that when my son started high school, he was struggling with homework, and I remember looking at him, and he was struggling, and he was on the kitchen table, and I said, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Well, I can't get this problem." And I said, "Okay, well, let me help you." And I was so insulted, but see, this is because my emotional intelligence wasn't what it is right now. I'm still working on it, but so I was a lot more emotional. And so I told my son, "Here, let me help you." And he said, "Mom, you can't help me." And I got offended, and I was like, what do you mean I can't help you? You think your mom is dumb? And he's like, no, I just know you can't help me. And I was like, you know what? Let me see the damn problem. Now I'm pissed, right? I said, let me see the damn problem. What do you mean? How do you know I can't help you? And he's like, all right. He gives me the book and he says, it's calculus. And I stood quiet, and then I said, oh shit, yeah, I can't help you. And I felt stupid because I'm over here thinking that I was like some type of superior than him. And he knew, because he knew that I didn't make it that high in high school or even a little bit of college that I was in. But I started laughing afterwards because I was like, okay, that's what I get for assuming. And my son, it was funny because automatically I got offended the fact that he said I couldn't help him. I'm like, how dare you? Because I could help you. But the fact was that I couldn't. So that's what I mean. Our families, and you actually touched a good basis on when you said something about them giving you negative advice, whether it's family or the friends that are closest to you at the time. Right. That's also accurate, because our families or our closest friends or acquaintances, especially if they have a little toxic in them, if they're damaged or they are not emotionally stable.
Well, it's up to us to eventually decipher that.
Right, but that's what I'm trying to say. That's what I'm trying to say. When you're growing up and you're going through these experiences and you have people giving you the bad they're telling you how to react badly, like when you talked about revenge. How do we know any better when we are barely not even experienced enough, but yet these are the advices, this is the advice, and this is the knowledge that our people are giving us. Right. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, of course it's up to us to make the right decision, but when you have a toxic father, a toxic mother, or a toxic friend or relative giving you bad advice, like go seek revenge, or this is the way you handle things, right, how do we know any better? Yeah. So
how are we going to break that cycle?
Exactly. It's up to us to break the cycle, but we have to learn it. Unfortunately, a lot of us, the ones who break the cycle in our families, learn on our own, because in our hearts we know that what we saw growing up wasn't right or didn't feel right. So we look for an alternative and we find it, and then we want to teach our kids to be different. Yeah. So our families, like I said, when we have great parents, my parents are great parents, they're always going to tell me what they think is best for me. But when is it okay to not listen? And I think every circumstance is different. Everybody is going to be you're going to have to approach the response in a different way. Some parents will be upset because you don't listen to them, but you have to have faith in yourself. Picture what you want and know what you have to do to get there. And then I think the answer will come to you.
Right. And you build off of that.
Yeah, of course. So, even you and I had a discussion the other day, and I didn't quite agree with you, and I even told you, hey, that's not for me, but I support you. And I told you why it wasn't for me, and I told you this and that. I wasn't going to lie to you and be like, oh yeah, that's awesome. So
hey, it emotionally hurt her.
Shut your ass up. No, hell no. You know what I mean? I was honest with you, and I said, hey, I'm not gonna give you any advice because I don't know much about this topic or this situation, but it's not for me. But you do you. You do you. I don't ever want to stop you or burden you, and you have my full support. Remember? Yeah. So I think when you don't know what to say and you don't know what to do, I think it's okay to say, I don't know. So our parents who try to sometimes manipulate our futures, because they'll say, this is what I think you should do. Go marry that guy, or go do this, or don't quit your job, or you get the picture. Yeah. I think what they're trying to do is just they're basing everything off of their emotion, but we have to know what's right for us.
Right.
And ultimately, life is short, and you don't know whether you're going to make the right choice. But hey, that's what mistakes are for. People, it's inevitable. I could give my kids all the answers in my own mistakes, and they'll still probably do the same thing.
Right.
So there's a balance. I think we are all smart people, and I think we need to start paying attention to our gut instinct, and I mean, go from there. There's really no straight answer to this, really. There's really no wrong or right answer. But I think if we use our heart and our brain at the same time, it'll give us the answer that we need at the time.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, I'm going to go back to this cartoon that I once saw. And it was a great-grandfather, a grandpa, the father, and then the son. The great-grandfather says, "Hey, stupid, how's it going?" You know, for instance, just the grandfather, you know, he feeds that and he tells that to his son, which is, you know, he doesn't necessarily tell him the same exact thing, but there's other negativity that's thrown at the father, and the father says, you know, I'm not gonna be like that with my kid. So, you know, he sees his son drawing a picture and he's like, "Hey son, you know, you're doing great. I love you." And these traditions are made to be broken because we don't have to live with the same mentality, the same toxicity. We don't have to continue what we're taught. We don't have to continue these things. So it's best to understand and it's best to understand when traditions should be broken. When is it not okay to listen to family, to the people that are negative, eventually breaking you down piece by piece throughout the years. You know, those are the things that we need to start twisting around. You know, if you look at the millionaires now, you know, for instance, I'm not on Instagram all the time, but I do follow, you know, these entrepreneurs that they speak facts. You know, they go through the emotions, they go through everything that's been brought to them. Some of the things are unfortunate, some of the things are fortunate, but if they were to listen to everybody in their lives, they wouldn't be where they're at now.
Yep.
So what do I have to do is, you know, is start listening to my gut instinct, which has led me to what I'm doing now, and I have to start listening more to you, partner, because I know that you and I give perfect type of feedbacks to where we both win. So if there's someone in your life that is out for you guys to both win, you know, roll with that person. Continue talking to that person. You're not gonna wish that you've never spoken to them.
Yep.
Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. And well, thank you, partner. I appreciate that. I respect your word a lot. Also, I think we both help each other out in the best intentions type of way. So yeah, you know, and I'll repeat it again. I have great parents. My parents are wonderful. They're brave. They've battled their own demons and their own struggles in their own way, and I was brought up to be a strong and resilient person. So listening to my parents has been somewhat of a reward. But I'm just saying that there is a point where they can only take you so far, and it is right. And let me tell you this, I hope that my sons recognize my capacity and they surpass me. Does that make sense? So I hope that my kids say, "Okay, mom, this is where it ends as far as, like, you know, listening to me certain things, and I need to go past that because I've reached a certain my capacity towards them." Yeah, exactly. And you know what? My kids are always going to be my kids, and they know that at the end of the day, mom's always going to be there, and I'm sure their dad's always going to be there. But even their dad has a governor, a capacity that he reaches where my kids are going to have to make their own decisions and say, Dad, and they don't have to even tell us. They don't have to tell us, Mom, Dad, I'm not going to listen to you. It's all mental. My son could listen to me and say to himself, all right, my mom, I appreciate her words, but I'm probably not going to do what she says. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all about respect. For me, it's all about respect. And especially those who are around you and who show you they really care about you. Don't shit on them for giving you maybe the advice that you're not wanting to hear or that doesn't suit you or benefit you. Don't shit on them. They're only giving you the knowledge they have. And it might not be enough. And that's okay. They're trying to help you in a way. It doesn't mean to be disrespectful. And it doesn't mean to tell somebody, I don't need your advice. You're dumb. You're stupid. You're ignorant. It doesn't mean that. It just means that take it in, analyze it in your brain, and then say to yourself, well, I like this advice. I'm going to take it. Or, yeah, I'm going to have to pass on that. And like you said earlier, partner, I think each of us know what we want. And you reach this point in your life where you've been broken, kicked, broke, failed, everything. And then you come out as a new person. And then you decide, I'm not putting up with no more bullshit. I'm not listening to so-and-so. I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that. Everything from here on out is about me. And not in a selfish way, but it's about me. It's about healing myself and accelerating myself to a higher place. And I think a lot of people, I think the most successful people have reached that point of brokenness, of failures, of everything, you name it. And it's a sad thing, but why do we have to reach that point to accelerate? Who knows? But I think most of us, people who speak the way I speak, comes from a very, very sad place. Yeah, it's a very humbling feeling. And I hope that I can always portray that when I talk to people or over the radio or podcast or in person. I hope they know that about me. But, we're not for everybody. So that's really my point was exactly that. When is it okay to not listen to your family or to your closest friends? Only you know. Only you'll know that answer. Only you'll know the choices that you need to make for yourself. But also, too, don't shit on them. They're trying to help. And it's, just analyze it and then just keep what you want and don't keep what doesn't work for you.
Absolutely. Yeah. What I really want to cover now is hopefully our kids and hopefully the generations after start to recognize these things too, and they do take certain advice and they don't take the shitty way out. It's always what happens now, and it's always what can we avoid, but it's never okay, I need to take a step back, not do what they're telling me to do. So, hope we covered what we were trying to talk about today, partner. Yeah. But I think that was a damn good show. What do you think?
Heck yeah, man. And as always, we wish the ultimate best for all of you guys. Me and my partner here, we hope that all of you guys can find that person who supports you, who loves you 100%, and you do you.
Yeah, now I just need to accept you for who you are.
Stop it. Shut the hell up.
No, we're just playing out here. But yeah, tune in for the next episode, guys. We have plenty of other topics to talk about. Thanks, you guys. Peace and love, and we'll talk to you guys next time.